Hey, what up, everybody? Welcome back to the 7-day challenge. We're on day 2. Today, we're going to talk about using toothbrushing. Yes, toothbrushing as a way to practice slowing things down when you need to. I know it's going to sound ridiculous to talk about toothbrushing, and I think the thumbnail for this is mindful dental hygiene for the win. So I'm just kind of being a little bit silly about it. But toothbrushing can be a valuable tool to help us practice going slower a little bit every day, so that when we practice it and get better at it, we can use it when we need it. So let's wait for a few people to show up. I don't know how many people are going to pop in, but feel free to just say hello in the comments when you do. If you're in the Facebook group, I'm not going to be able to see your name. I'm only going to see Facebook user. But if you're on YouTube or if you're on the Facebook page, I will be able to see your name. So that's fine. Let's get into it. I do not, like I said, I don't want to wait too much longer. We're going to try and keep these 10, 15 minutes or so at the most. And let's get into it. So I want to talk about mindful toothbrushing, or trying to use toothbrushing as a means to slow down. What I would like to do is my teeth are gleaming. I'm just looking at the comments as we go. So I see people are piling in. Excellent. So the mindful toothbrushing, or learning to brush your teeth very slowly and carefully, is a thing that is near and dear to my heart. And let me tell you why. Because when I was on my recovery journey, and my recovery was heavily based on getting out the door, leaving the house, and driving by myself as far as I could, because that was a problem for agoraphobic, right? One of the things that I discovered really quickly was that before I could get really good at my driving exposures, the act of getting ready to go out the door to do my driving exposure was an exposure by itself. So I would know, I'd wake up in the morning, very first thing, and I wanted to do my exposures first thing in the morning. I'd put my feet on the floor and start going, right? And I would start the day then in an absolute panic, because I knew what was coming. I knew that I was going to go out and drive and leave the house and drive around by myself. And that was so scary, right? So I discovered pretty quickly that one of the things that I had to do was first work on the act of getting myself ready to go out the door. If I'm going to go out the door at a level 10 panic, then I wasn't going to give myself much room to work in the driving exposure. So it became, the exercise really became the getting ready part first. And part of that was brushing my teeth, right? So I would get up, I'd walk to the bathroom, I'd wash up, I would do what I had to do. And I would literally have to teach myself, practice, and work on brushing my teeth while I was in a 100% state of panic. I was in a panic attack, and I had to work on brushing my teeth while I was doing that. Now, at first, it would be super fast. Like I was just trying to rush through everything, because, of course, I was in a panic. So my heart is racing and I'm breathing heavy, and my lizard brain is telling me to do everything really fast. The key for me became when I slowed down the toothbrushing, and I said, okay, I'm going to have to learn to just sort of move more carefully and mindfully through these sensations. And it started with my toothbrush, as crazy as it is. So the way I did this with my toothbrush was, I said, okay, I started to give myself, like I said yesterday on the showering episode, I started to give myself the space to only have one job. Like, in any given moment, I decided I only really have one job to do. And at that moment, the only job that I had was to pick up my toothbrush. And then when that job was done, I only had one job to do in the world, and that was to pick up the toothpaste, right? And then when that job was done, the only job I had in the world to do was to take the cap off of it. So you see where I'm getting at. I probably backed up that sequence a little bit. Just got to take the cap off before I pick up a toothbrush. Then my only job was to put the toothpaste on my toothbrush. Then my only job was to put the toothpaste back down on the shelf. So I literally had to break toothbrushing down into the tiniest, most discrete components, right? So I wasn't there to brush my teeth. I was there to take the cap off the toothpaste. That's all I was there to do. That was the only requirement that I had of myself, was to complete that tiny little task, then move on to the next tiny little task. And then that led to actually, like, okay, each stroke of the brush was a task. All I have to do is do these teeth. All I have to do is my back teeth. All I have to do is the top of my teeth. And I just tried to take every stroke as slowly as I possibly could. That was not easy, because remember, in the beginning when I was doing it in a blind panic. It was really hard to do, because I was shaking and I had all the things going on. You guys know what that is, right? So I just had to practice it. And every morning I had to practice brushing my teeth as slowly and mindfully as I could while I was in the middle of panic. And that actually started to work really well for me. It started to change things in a big way. As I went, I got better and better and better at it. And I really kind of refined the practice of breaking down the act of toothbrushing into these tiny little discrete steps and just only having to do those one job after another, just this, then this, then this, then this, then this. So that's how I want you to approach toothbrushing. Now, when I learned to brush my teeth that way, I started to apply that to other things also in that morning, like getting ready routine, putting on my shoes, putting on my socks. It was in the winter, so I had to get like winter clothes on, tying each shoe, putting each sock on, putting my jacket on one arm, the other arm. But it started in the bathroom with my toothbrush. So I did an Instagram live a couple of weeks ago with Dr. Jen Walken. She's a psychologist here in New York near me. And she, in her book, Quick Calm, she writes about mindful toothbrushing, as crazy as it sounds. And when I was reading Quick Calm, I was texting her furiously, like, oh my God, you're talking about mindful toothbrushing. It is such a silly little task that all of us do every day, most of us many times a day, or at least a couple of times a day. And that will give you an opportunity to try this. So brushing your teeth slowly and deliberately and breaking it into each individual task and only having to complete each one of those tasks as you go, little bit by little bit, one thing at a time, just chain them together until you complete your toothbrushing, is a really excellent way to practice putting the concept of mindfulness and even meditation to a certain extent into practice. So instead of being overwhelmed by the idea that like, okay, now I have to learn to be mindful, I have to make this big shift into mindfulness, I have to change my mindset, I have to ground, I have to do, no, you don't. All you have to do is take the cap off your toothpaste. And then all you have to do is rinse the toothbrush. All you have to do is turn the faucet off in the sink. Like, do that, try that. Like, so mindful toothbrushing, as crazy as it sounds, is a really good way to practice those mindful things, just paying attention. Remember, we talked about attention, paying attention to each individual subtask as you do it fully. And what I had to learn about that is that I had to learn to not qualify my mindfulness, which I wrote about in 7% Slower there. I couldn't qualify my mindfulness because I had to just accept that right now I'm trying to mindfully brush my teeth. And at the same time, I am feeling a very high level anxiety or panic. So you have to get your focus onto the task at hand, which is those individual subtasks of brushing your teeth, and not so much worried and judging the fact that you might feel anxious or stressed or rushed or upset while you're doing that. You can still mindfully brush your teeth, even though you're not feeling great at the time. Like, more than one thing could be true at a time. I could be mindful and I could also be feeling anxious or afraid or stressed or wrung out or whatever, under pressure, whatever it happens to be. So I would urge you to try that. Try that today. Try that for the next few days. You're going to brush your teeth anyway. So it's a really good opportunity to start to learn to do something mindfully, and using the concepts of attention and focusing your attention and paying attention to what you're doing and deciding where your attention should be in a really easy, accessible kind of way. That doesn't involve buying, yoga mats or meditation cushions, and it doesn't require, reading Deepak Chopra or Eckhart Tolle, Eckhart Tolle books. Like, just brush your teeth mindfully. It's a really easy way to practice. All right. So we could do that. We can do that. So let me look at some of the comments. I'm wondering if you guys tried the shower thing. I see Dave tried the shower thing. Let me look. Took a shower for 20 minutes last night. Let's put this on the screen. Let's all celebrate when we are doing good stuff, right? Let's help each other out. Took a shower for 20 minutes last night and I felt really good and relaxing. I had a few bad thoughts, but I could really be with them. A little worried about anxiety, but yeah, I did it. Dude, yes, you did it. That is the lesson of the slow motion shower. You were able to take a 20-minute shower, let those thoughts be there, and just kind of move through them because you kept your attention on your shower. So that's really great. And the fact that you found the shower even relaxing to a certain extent is a huge win. So you should be proud of yourself. Keep trying. Some days you are going to stumble because that's new to you and you're going to fail at it and not be so great at it. That's okay. There were many mornings when I totally sucked at mindfully brushing my teeth because I was in a panic and I didn't do a good job of it, but that's okay. This is how we do it. Let's see. We'll take a few questions. We'll go for another 5 minutes or so. How do I, well, that's not really a question for this topic. How do I overcome the fear of high HBP? I assume you mean high blood pressure. That's really a health anxiety thing. And I do have a podcast episode, multiple podcast episodes that address health anxiety. So if you go to theanxioustruth.com and just the search bar and search for health anxiety, you'll see an episode that I did with a Norwegian psychologist who treats health anxiety. I've done a couple other episodes on it. I did one by myself. So check that out. Like, it's not really a thing I can address here because it's not the topic. What does, let's see here. Just when okay, Laura says, let's see what Laura has to say. What up, Laura? What about when you wake up late? Just one of those mornings. I rushed this morning and totally brought on all panic. How should I respond? It's a good question. Like, we also have to live within the parameters of life. So sometimes we are rushed. So in the book, so I know somebody's trying to teach me how to, there, ready? There, right over the top of this mic boom. So in the book, I actually acknowledge that. And I wrote a little chapter that says, you mean I'm never allowed to go fast? No, you are allowed to go fast. Life presses on us sometimes. Sometimes we have time constraints. That's okay. But I think, Laura, the answer would be, how should I respond? If you have to quickly brush your teeth that morning because you're late getting the kids to school, that's all right. Brush your teeth quickly that day. That's all right. Just when you can practice going slowly, do it when you can, so that when you wind up in a pressured morning because you're in a time constraint and you're late, you are more likely to be able to disengage a little bit and slow down. Because we're not talking about necessarily slowing down to a crawl where you don't get the kids out the door, for instance. You're slowing down by such a small amount, like 7%, which is, I know you can't really do 7%, but I picked a small number because you're not slowing down so much that you're going to be more late, but you can slow down enough so that you're not engaged in frantic activity. So I think we talked about that. I don't remember. I talked about it in my Instagram live with Dean over on DLC on Monday. A lot of people say, but if I slow down, I have so much to do, I'm not going to get it done. No, that's not true. You'll actually get everything done. Understand that there's a difference between being quick and being frantic. So the object of practicing like mindful toothbrushing and this sort of stuff is to learn that you can sometimes be slow when you have that luxury, but even when you have to be quick, you don't have to be frantically quick. Hopefully that answers the question. It's a good question too. I appreciate you guys having faith in me. Just lift your left hand and point. This is so weird because I'm absolutely not spatially challenged. I'm really good in 3 dimensions, but for some reason, this ain't working. So let's see what else we got. A couple more. I'll try and take a couple others. My 10-minute shower went well, says somebody in my Facebook group. Excellent. Glad to hear that. Tracy says, let's see what Tracy has to say. I remember being so anxious to take a bath, I rushed, but now I'm back to relaxing for ages. If you're getting out of that bath and you're all wrinkly because you've been in it so long, good on you. Good job. Sometimes you can really get to enjoy that bath or that shower, right? Which is really kind of cool. Viola says, late notification from Facebook. Yes, technology kind of sucks. I'm sort of over all this technology lately. I'm not going to lie. Oh, this is good. Okay, somebody in my Facebook group. I normally empty the dishwasher while cleaning my teeth. Multitasking, right? And as somebody who has worn my ridiculous, freakish ability to multitask as a badge of honor, I feel you on this. Like, I had to give that up. There are times when I'm really thankful for my ability to do a lot of things at one time, but I can't live like that all the time. I had to learn that. So this is good. Like, brush your teeth and then do the dishwasher. You're allowed to do those 2 things. Give yourself a break. So that's a really good realization that you had. So let's see here. Okay, this is a good point too. Again, someone in my Facebook group. Shower went well, so I tried it this morning while making my mom breakfast. It feels so different, but I like it. It will feel different. Like, if you are used to obeying that amygdala command to speed up, speed up, speed up, if you're going to start doing things much more slowly and mindfully, it's going to feel really strange, really strange. In the book, I talk about exaggerating your slowness. I think I wrote, in order to learn how to slow down 7%, that arbitrary number, that absurd number, you probably have to practice going 13% slower so that when you need to, you'll get 7. So you have to exaggerate a little bit and it's going to feel a little weird, a little uncomfortable, right? So let's see what we got here. Got a lot of people here today. I start leaving my house this week, so I'm walking for about maybe 200 meters. How far? Okay, want to run. That's that's okay, Renata. I'm not going to put that up because it's not necessarily the topic right now. I understand what you're doing is really scary, but the running makes it worse, right? So you know this. That's for a different topic though. Let's see who else we got. I love reading in the bathtub. Okay. Must not use that as avoidance. If you can enjoy that, your baths and stuff, and reading in the bathtub, it's no problem. Do it. This is funny. Becky says, I have read Drew's book in the tub, which is, if you've been watching the recovery room that we do on Instagram every Friday, every once in a while that comes up. I think it was Josh that started by saying he listens to my podcast while he's in the bath, and it's become a running joke. Anywho, that's what's going on. Okay, let's see here. I think I know who this is, even though Restream isn't showing me. Brushing my teeth with a start to my recovery, and now I'll make it even slower. I feel you, because the story I told about mindful toothbrushing, it was a big deal in the early part of my recovery. First of all, learning that the first thing I had to do before my driving exposure was to get good at leaving the house in a better state, so that I gave myself a little room to panic. If I start in a panic, then I can't really panic in the car, right? So I had to give myself a little room. Understanding that and breaking it almost into two tasks, getting ready and then driving, was huge. And the beginning of changing the task of getting ready in the morning. And you guys have heard me talk about having a morning routine and how important that is. The toothbrushing was foundational. So as crazy as it sounds, this little 15-minute video right here about mindful toothbrushing is super important to me, like on a personal level. So there you go. All right, very good. Let's see here. Well, this is extreme, so let's talk about that. I know who this is. Exaggerated brush my teeth. That's why it lasts 10 to 15 minutes. That's okay. That might be the exaggeration that you need for now. And if you want to brush your teeth for 15 minutes, that's perfectly okay if you can do that. No, there's not a crime. But sometimes the intentional over exaggeration, which is in this book, you exaggerate your slowness. So you learn to go slow because it's going to feel foreign to you. So if that's what you're doing for now, and if you continue to do it, there's no problem, but you may have to really exaggerate that to get the hang of this. So there you go. I brush for 3 minutes on my toothbrush timer. Yes. And it's so funny because I think I wrote in my Instagram post that the NHS in the UK says you should brush your teeth for at least 2 minutes. I have like a Sonicare toothbrush. Like they say 3 minutes, it should take you 3 minutes. In fact, the toothbrush times it. Maybe you have the same thing. It times it. So it tells me when it's ready, like, okay, do the top of your teeth, the bottom of your teeth. It's kind of interesting, but it's funny how we notice these things when we slow down and be, present in those tasks, like brushing your teeth. All right, guys, I'm going to end it. Let's see here. I hope your podcast reaches India. It's so bad and stereotypical over there. Well, I mean, if you have the internet, then yes, people in India can listen to my podcast. You can find the podcast at theanxioustruth.com/listen. If you are not listening to the podcast, it is literally like now 6 or 7 years worth of free stuff all about this topic. So you can go listen to that. And if you are interested in getting a copy of 7% Slower, I'm just going to let this be a running gag for the next 5 days. You're stuck with the gag. Sorry, guys. This is where you can get it, right? So theanxioustruth.com/SPS Kindle today, which will get you over to the Kindle edition. If you're watching in the future, just go to 7%slower.com and that will get you all the purchase links. Because if you're watching this in the future, the paperback will be out next week. The audiobook will be out next week. I recorded 2 more chapters this morning. And and we'll get it into other places besides Amazon, hopefully in the next 10 days also. So thank you guys for coming by today, and try mindful toothbrushing today. And tomorrow we'll be back again. I think tomorrow we're going to talk about mindful hair brushing, as crazy as it sounds. And I want to see how everybody does brushing their teeth nice and slow. So I will see you guys tomorrow, and good luck with this. Let me know how it goes.